I've wanted a variable ND filter for so long, and majority of the good ones that I've seen are hundreds of dollars. The thing costs half the cost of my lens, but I've never really thought it's a good idea to cheap out on it at the same time because you're not gonna get the same performance, or are you? Is a cheap ND filter good enough? This one's only 32 Canadian bucks, tons of positive and negative reviews. Waste of time and money, essentially useless, sharpness killer, terrible vignetting. So I bought it. I got the K&F Variable Neutral Density Filter. Pretty happy with the unboxing. And first impressions of the actual filter, pretty impressed. Feels hefty. I'm also happy with the spinning movement. It's pretty well built. Come on, let's take it outside. Oh, it looks like crap. This is what would happen if I didn't have an ND filter. If I wanted these settings for that nice blurred background and the 180 rule, it would just be overexposed. But what's the 180 rule? It's what helps give your footage a professional and cinematic look with a more natural motion blur. And to do that, you take your frame rate that you're shooting at. So if you're shooting at 24 frames per second, you generally want to make your shutter speed double that. So you would go to 1/50. Shooting at 30 FPS, make your shutter speed 1/60. You're shooting at 60, make it 1/20, yada, yada, yada. And then if you also want to have a wide aperture, let in even more light, on a super bright day, it's just going to be overexposed and there's nothing you can do unless you have an ND filter. It's not so overexposed. So because you can darken your exposure so much with the filter, you can actually open your shutter speed even longer to get this trailing trippy effect, which is something you couldn't do if you didn't have the filter on because it would just be way too overexposed in bright daylight. So yeah, you can get creative with shutter. And a wide open aperture also gives you that shallow depth of field, so you can get some shots that you normally couldn't get as well on a super bright day if you didn't have an ND filter. And I'd say it doesn't look too bad. So this is a little shot of the highway. The left you have shooting without an ND filter at like 1/1000 shutter. Absolutely no motion blur going on. Pretty unnatural. Looks more like a smartphone video. Then on the right you have a similar shot with the ND filter following the 180 rule, so you get a little bit of that motion blur. Looks a little bit more natural to the eye. I am noticing a shift in coloring. There is a bit of a green shift going on with the ND filter. But look at this lens flare. Going to a water spot now because if you got an ND filter, you gotta test it on some water. That's like the main reason people buy them, is for the silky waterfall effect. I don't have any waterfalls near me, but we're gonna go to a river. Hopefully the river's running. Okay, the lighting is going absolutely bananas right now. I'm just gonna record some things and see how the quality turns out. But right off the bat, I love being able to just quickly adjust my exposure. I can go from dark to super bright, and I can keep all the same settings. I don't gotta worry about switching up aperture, and I can just keep a consistent look. I love having 2.8 in broad daylight, so you can get that shallow depth of field with the proper shutter speed. It's amazing so far. You can just, woo, hello, goodbye. So cool. Kinda. I think I'm gonna need some practice. Overall, let's wrap this thing up. I'd say for 32 bucks, it's a no-brainer. Pick one up. If you've never used an ND filter, I think it's just worth playing around with it, trying it out. This could be one that lasts you a while before you upgrade to the more elite version. If you guys want to pick up the exact one I did, if you're interested in trying one out, I have a link in the description if you want to support the channel. So yes, cheap ones, I'd say, are worth it. It's cheap and it works. Therefore, it's worth it. Is it as good as the expensive ones? Probably not. I gotta try one out though. Hopefully this helped you decide to just bite the bullet and do it, because the benefits are real. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Farewell.